Hey, welcome back to Recovery Nuggets with Luke and Alana. We are talking today about vulnerability.
This is number 4 in creating safety in a relationship. So when it comes to vulnerability, this is the one I get that makes the least amount of sense to me in my man brain. Okay. So my wife, I picture a wife wanting a strong, confident, like I'll figure things out, like what the world teaches us about men. And what she's asking me are 4 parts of creating safety is I have vulnerability. So what does that even look like? I'm
Well,
confused.
really quick, the reason that we want the vulnerability is because vulnerability leads to connection, and vulnerability says we're safe.
Okay.
So there's 2 huge rewards that come from vulnerability.
So connection for me looks different than it does for my wife. Okay. So connection for me can just be spending time together and, watching a TV show together. But the vulnerability part looks like from her is me having a genuine conversation about what I'm experiencing in my life. AKA the ones most is where's my pain coming from? What's going on? What am I struggling with? Those types of things.
So feelings.
Those feelings. Wow, I don't want to go there. I remember us in our marriage coming home from a work day and I'd have a tough day at work. And she'd, hey, how did your day go? And what went through my mind is like, I don't want to live that experience again. So I don't want to share it with you. Seems reasonable to me. Why should I have to live that again? It's not going to change anything. So I wouldn't share with her.
Which is AKA, I'm going to suppress these feelings and I'm going to shove them down. And then what we don't express out, share out, write out, we act out.
So did that scare you? Or what was that like for you when you noticed this happening?
I didn't understand that was suppression. I didn't understand how that was fueling an addiction. Now I understand that. So I didn't know that that was scary, but it was very lonely. It's very lonely to be in a marriage where I felt like I was constantly giving to the marriage and receiving nothing back.
Yeah. So she would be having one-way conversations with me, which is she would share, she would open up, she would be vulnerable. And hey, that makes sense to me because I'm the strong husband that would listen and fix all of the problems she has. And so it didn't make any sense to me that she wants to hear my pain. She wants to hear this. And it doesn't make sense for me to express it. But the longer I worked through recovery, the more I got a really good therapist, joined a really good group, the more I recognized and understood that me sharing feelings and emotions and what's going on was important to my mental health, my emotional health. But what else it was really important to was the healing of our marriage. So as I got used to expressing these things and sharing, I would leave feeling like, oh, that was so hard. And what she'd be doing, she'd be beaming because now I'm doing things that she's not used to me seeing, which is expressing my emotions and my feelings. And long term, I would feel better, but it never made sense in the beginning of the conversation.
Well, and truthfully, neither of us really knew how to tap into the emotions. And we didn't have the emotional vocabulary when we even first started. So we got an emotion wheel. We just Googled it. And the emotion wheel has the main emotions we know: sadness, happy,
Angry, tired.
yeah, just some really basic emotions. But then what it does is it goes in and within each of those emotions, it says, well, other words for happy is joyful, excited, energized. And it gives all these other emotions and it keeps giving more and more emotions. But we didn't have the vocabulary to even really know how to dig in and do that. And we didn't understand that connection and that vulnerability, the vulnerability came before the connection. And so for a lot of our marriage, I would feel somewhat connected to him because I was being vulnerable with him. And he thought he was connected with me. But truly, you can say this for yourself, but you didn't know what connection was,
No.
not real connection.
Didn't know what it was like, that authenticity and how that was helpful.
Yeah.
Yep. So what we would do is we would do these nightly check-ins and we would go for a walk and we'd share these feelings. So we required each person to share 2 feelings and it created a place of vulnerability. It completed a place where we could have true connection. And it took a really long time for us to kind of get used to this and start to speak this new language. And to this day, depending on where my mental space is, the amount of humility that I'm having to go to vulnerability is more difficult than other days. But it's still a consistent part of um, our process for becoming an emotional, healthy, connected couple.
Yeah. To have a healthy relationship, it's work. Healthy is hard. You think about being a parent, and if you had a 2-year-old and you weren't a healthy parent, you would maybe let him be on the iPad all day and let him eat candy all day because that's what they want to eat, and never discipline them and never have boundaries. And that would certainly be easier, because being a healthy parent is having those boundaries, having bedtimes, taking care of the tantrums, creating that emotional safety, feeding them healthy meals. Like, we could go on and on of what healthy parenting is, because the reality is to be healthy individuals, it takes work, and vulnerability is not easy. And it does get easier. It is one of those muscles that you can grow and develop, but it takes work.
Yeah, absolutely.